Would say she's kind of burying the lead. Limited indoor dining is actually returning to Prince George's County this Friday. To give us the very latest, Fox 5's Stephanie Ramirez is live. Stephanie, what's going on out there and what's new?
So there were a few leads buried in that press conference there. Today, though, we are in Prince George's County, right outside of FedEx Field, talking about the indoor dining ban. Some called it a holiday pause. That's what the district's leaders called it on their side in D.C. Here in Prince George's County, the county executive announces starting Friday, they will be able to return to indoor dining for the restaurants, but that's only at 25% capacity. And it's also as cases are really high in the district and in the D.C. area and here in Prince George's County. Still, we can tell you in the state of Maryland, they're reporting over 343,000 coronavirus cases so far. Prince George's County has consistently had the highest number of new cases reported today. That's over 65,000. So the county executive, in answering why doing this now, was essentially saying that while there are still high coronavirus numbers in the county, that they're seeing some of those numbers dip. And so they're deciding to resume indoor dining at 25%, hoping that those lower numbers will stabilize. And she also gave some of those numbers if you want me to go into that for you. But that's what's happening here on the ground.
Yeah, here on NewsNOW, you can go as long or as short as you want to. I'm interested in those numbers. I'm also interested in whether vaccine distribution has something to do with it. Obviously, that's what she was talking about in the very beginning. So, yeah, dive into those numbers for us.
So first let's start with the numbers here. So the county executive was saying that about 2 weeks ago, the positivity rate here was as high as 11.7%. She said that that's a rate that Prince George's County has not seen, or it's higher than what they've seen in the last 6 months, speaking to how high the cases are and spread here in the county. Now, she was saying as of today, the positivity rate is around 9.2%, and they consider 5 to 10% to be high risk. So they're going to open, but they're still asking everyone to do their part. Restaurants to continue cleaning, people to continue social distancing, using masks. We were talking with some folks in the restaurant industry today, especially smaller businesses. I talked to a head chef of a business in the county called Kitchen Cray Cafe. He also has a business in D.C. too. And they're so small that he was saying that at 25% capacity, they can't even bring their employees back. They can only have a handful of people. I think he said 6 was the number inside because they're so small. So this 25% capacity, while we know a lot of businesses and employees will be impacted by this and need the restaurants to reopen, that there are also businesses that this is still hurting them and they need things to go to 50%. Now, D.C. reopened their indoor dining at 25% last week. Prince George's County is saying Friday they'll do it. Montgomery County, which is the second highest county in Maryland for coronavirus cases, they have not announced yet when they plan to do so. Back in December, when these indoor dining bans went into effect, the Restaurant Association of Maryland, the president announced that they were suing the different counties, Baltimore, Montgomery, and Prince George's County, trying to get an injunction on those indoor dining bans. So we're waiting to see what will happen with Montgomery County, which is just next door here. Now, speaking to the vaccination problem that you heard the county executive talking about, they were basically saying that there was an issue in the county when they opened it up to 1B phase, which includes seniors 75 and older, educators, other child care industry workers, that the program, the state guidance that they got beforehand, basically was not restrictive. And so they were under the impression that there would not be restrictions in offering it to other counties. Now, what the county leaders say they found was that other Maryland counties were restricting their programs to only their residents or workers. But here in Prince George's County, because they did not restrict the program and who could sign up for a vaccine, they found that hundreds of people were signing up who did not live or work in the county. And it's kind of hard to get some numbers, but they were saying that of the 1B group that they opened it up to, that last week they've had around 1/3 of the people who receive vaccinations are out of county, and these are mostly those seniors 75 and older. So they are now changing that to make sure that county residents and workers who live out of the area but work here will get the opportunity to get the vaccine first, because the supplies are so limited, and that's what we're hearing all across the country too.
Yeah, I'm also curious, taking it back a step here, you said 25% right now capacity. Is there any indication of when it might move up to 50% to help out some of those restaurants, those smaller restaurants?
We've been asking around, not much information on that. And one other thing I should note too, the chef that we talked to, he was very upset, saying that they're getting this information from us. They're not even being told by county leaders or, getting this information from somewhere else of when things are going to happen. So everybody's just waiting to see what's going on, and there's not really much information on what will happen next just yet.
Yeah, and essential information for those restaurant owners to know how many people to bring back. If it's going to be 25% versus 75%, that's a huge difference for all of them out there. I'm curious, you mentioned for a second that vaccines and how it's distributed is kind of an issue for a lot of states right now. Well, there's other states who are also relaxing their restrictions that have typically been extremely conservative, including California. We've been showing these press conferences from Governor Newsom this morning about taking that stay-at-home order away. I wonder if this is typical for you guys. Do you see that you're kind of in the footprints of California?
It's very different here. A lot of the lockdowns that we saw in California, I would say, are more extreme than what we are seeing here. In terms of vaccine, though, I think, the same frustrations that you're hearing all across the country are definitely happening here, which is interesting is that this is the nation's capital. So we're right in the backyard of the decision makers who could be directing this one way or the other on a federal level. So there's a lot of frustration there as well. I can tell you with the people who are waiting in line trying to get the vaccines in Prince George's County here, and at a time when it was open to people who were not working or living in the county, some people told us that they were waiting in line in upwards of 3 hours trying to get their vaccine last week. So there's definitely a lot of angst, and people who want to get this, but we're starting to see them slowly ramp up now. Here in Prince George's County, the health director has said that they're hoping to do over 1,000 vaccines a day this week, anticipating more doses coming in. So we're definitely keeping eyes to see how that goes.
Yeah, it seems like with this relaxation of those restrictions, it's one step in the right direction. Anything else to note going forward in Prince George's County?
No, we just keeping tabs and trying to make sure we're all keeping abreast on what's happening. Right now, we're waiting to see what happens with Montgomery County. That is the last holdout in the state of Maryland, according to the Restaurant Association, who's really wanting to get them to open up and to get them to answer. And one of the things that the president of the association had told us is that when they, first filed for that injunction, that they still couldn't get specifics on what metrics were being used to make this decision to close indoor dining. So that's also something that a lot of people, would like more information about, but are still trying to respect the leaders in the area and what plans they put in place.
Yep. Well, you're busy bringing that information to the public. We appreciate you being with us here on NewsNOW from Fox. That's Fox 5's Stephanie Ramirez. And again, like we were mentioning there's a lot of other counties who are seeing movement as well.